Are you in sync with reality? Sounds like a strange question, but so much of what realization is about recognizing the subtleties of the synchronicities that surround us all the time. When you're in sync with this, then the experience of being a separate individual moving through time, reacting to the surroundings, even experiencing surroundings as something apart from you. So when things are out of sync, it feels like something solid, something struggling, something distinct and apart from everything else. It feels like a solid self. It feels like a struggling self. It feels like a self that is always reacting, needing to defend itself. It also feels like a self that's always seeking something, always trying to better itself, always trying to find something new or the next experience to make itself feel better. So, again, so much of this is really just about synchronicity, about calming the mind and heart enough till we just allow that natural synchronicity to come forward and move us. Now, obviously, it's not just as simple as wanting that to happen. And it's not even just as simple as don't move, don't think, and then the synchronicity will take over. Because there's so much habituated tendency to struggle. There's so much habituated thought and identification with thought that it's important to do certain types of inquiries along the way to disentangle identity from the collective delusion of what it means to be a person in time that struggles. As we disentangle from that collective hypnosis, we feel these major openings. Things get much more spacious. And as things get spacious, there's room to start to acclimatize to the natural synchronicity. In fact, after a big shift, an awakening, often this is very, very obvious that everything is in sync. Everything's always been in sync. And there's nothing apart. So everything is just simply synchronistic, empty brilliance. This means there are no boundaries to that. It's not my experience. It's just how this is, how everything is. And there's such a flow to that, that one really is not completely aware of what happened, how identity has shifted, what has changed, or even what identity was that seemed to be there for so long before that shift occurs. So after that, it takes some time to really go back through and disentangle identity from the subtler aspects of our conditioning. But as that happens, we find ourselves more and more in sync until there's just synchronicity. The inside and outside becomes so synchronous that the barrier or borderline between inside and outside disappears. The timing of integration and disintegration becomes synchronized on the inside and outside. The individual becomes synchronized with the environment until there is no individual and environment anymore. There's just one moving, one doing, one display, one arising, one departing, one life, one death. So when you get these tastes of synchronicity, trust it, open to it. And when you feel something cringing or contracting against an opening, just know that that is intelligent. It's important to see that. It's important to feel that. Be willing to fully feel that contraction, that contracted place, that stuck place, because that's just showing you where through habituation you're a bit out of sync. You might feel a lot out of sync to the apparent individual, but that's because that apparent individual is an outgrowth of that small area of a lack of synchronicity. So it will feel like death to the individual. But these little areas of contraction of resistance are a gold mine. Don't overlook them. Don't remember a time when there was more spaciousness and peace and bliss and try to get back to that in your mind. That won't work, because that's out of time. In time, in this moment, you have to feel the contraction. You have to contract. That's what's happening. So feel it fully, experience it. Notice there's no way out of it. You can't think your way out of it. You can't imagine your way out of it. You can't even inquire your way out of it. You can sort of inquire your way into it by asking, what is it I'm avoiding? What is it I don't want to see about this moment? How am I in discord with what's happening? But once you're there, once you feel that contraction, stay there. It won't last forever. Nothing lasts forever. But it's the feeling of getting back in sync. You might have heard the only way out is in. But ultimately, we're not trying to get out of anything. Just keep going in. In. And you'll find out that's where you've always wanted to be. Where you've always been. But you got to go all the way through. Directly into this moment. What are you going through? Well, you're not trying to go through a contraction to the other side. You're going through your resistance barrier to it. You're going through the belief that you have to react. You have to try to be somewhere else. Go fully through that and just be here. Fully inhabit whatever it is that's happening. Your body is the tuning fork. Feel it. Feel in. Find it. Find the contraction. Find the pain. Find the distortion. And you'll find where the illusory separate self is trying to be out of sync. It's trying to exist apart from everything, which can't happen. It's impossible. That's why it's uncomfortable. So just feel it. It's like breaking a fever. It's not comfortable, but it's necessary.